Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. In today's beginner, intermediate, and experienced video, we're going to start working on some of the sketches that are in the 52 sketch workbook that came out with CM's birthday last year. So I think you're going to like this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I don't know if I'm going to do all 52 of the sketches that are in this sketchbook, but we'll see. We might. We're going to work on quite a few beginner, intermediate, and experienced videos this year, so we might get to quite a few of them. I don't know if we'll do all of them. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But I think you're going to like this one. I certainly like the way it turned out. So let's check out my workspace and we'll get going. All right, so this is my workspace for today. We're going to do a BIE using the 52 scrapbooking project recipes. This is the sketchbook that came out this past year, and so I'm excited to work through some of these with you throughout this year. I think it will be a lot of fun. You may recall that I shared some of the project recipes or sketches that are in this book with you when I was talking about our vellum options and ideas a few months back. And I'm just looking at this. It looks like it's not super focused. Hopefully that's better for you. Anyway, we're going to just start with project recipe number 1, and we're going to do this and create a version of a beginner, intermediate, and more experienced level of scrapbooking. And I'm going to need to modify this just a little bit, just a little bit to go with the photos, the photo types that I have. But essentially we're going to use this. We're going to use 2 designer papers, and note that they have here that you're using the reverse of this one. So whichever one you choose to represent the peach, you need to like the other side of it as well. And they've got you using them here to journal. You'll notice in the sample up above here that they are journaling in those boxes right there. So the opposite side of whichever page you're choosing needs to be somewhat tone on tone so that you can write over top of it, maybe with a black pen or something, and have it be easily visible. This sample here actually looks like they used a mat card rather than paper to create these 2 pieces. So that's also an option if that's something that you want to do. But they've got it here where they've used piece E and piece E and F are these 2, but pieces C and D, the 3x4s right here, are these 2 pieces right here. And you could easily substitute a mat card if you wanted in those spots. Okay, so let me show you what I have. And I'm going to leave the cutting guide up for this project recipe as I explore the different things that I have pulled out here. So this is the right hand side of the last page that we did last week. And so I've pulled out some laser borders that I have that I've been wanting to use. I pulled out a couple of other ones. These leaves are also really pretty, so possibles. These are also some other laser embellishments that I had that I thought might be pretty even layered like that. So we'll see if that works into my plan. This is a strip that I cut and punched using the Candy Cane Border Maker cartridge. And I saved it. I think it was a sample from a different layout that I decided I didn't want to use. And I thought, well, maybe I could use this, and I could even cut it down the middle and make two. So anyway, that is a possibility. These are my photos we're going to use in just a little bit. And the paper that I pulled is actually from Lime Tart and Totally Tonal Kelly Green. So that's where these papers come from, if they look familiar to you or not. We're going to use these sort of ombre pages as our base pages, and we're going to use these two as our designer pages. You'll notice that this one really has a muted tone-on-tone pattern, so this one is going to represent those two pieces C and D that I mentioned earlier at the beginning. So this is going to be my orange paper. This is going to be my blue paper. So let me just set a little bit of this aside. We're going to set the base pages and my hinged page aside so that I can grab my trimmer, and we're just going to trim up a few things so that we have these pieces. Now, something else to consider. I also have permanent and repositionable adhesive out today, although I think I'll mostly be using permanent unless I'm adhering these laser things. If I'm going to use the laser things, then I'm going to need the repositionable. So that's over there. I always get both of them out because I never know when I'm going to want to use which one. But I just wanted to mention, so I have this little bit of the map that went with the gardens. We're talking about Blarney Castle and the history that's behind it today. And so I wanted to include this in my layout. So we're going to add this in somewhere. And also add in these other photos of the different informational signs that give us more of the history of Blarney Castle. Just a little bit of background on the castle. I thought I would share some of this with you. Blarney Castle was essentially created by the McCarthy family. Blarney Castle was the ancestral stronghold of the McCarthys, who are generally revered as one of the most powerful of the ancient Irish clans, according to this. And the builder of the particular structure that we visited is generally believed to have been one of the McCarthy chieftains, Dermot. He was the king of Munster. And I just wanted to kind of connect some dots here, because it says here, tracing their ancestry back to a chieftain who was converted to Christianity by St. Patrick, the McCarthys produced many warriors who left their mark on time and place, such as Cormac McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy, who built the famous Cormac's Chapel on the Rock of Cashel in 1127, or between 1127 and 1134. So you'll remember from those pictures that we did last year of Cormac's Chapel on the Rock of Cashel that this is the Cormac that did that. And he was a McCarthy. So kind of just some cool connections that can be made here. Blarney Castle dates from around 1446, and it is known as a tower house type of fortification, built in the 14th and 16th centuries by Gaelic lords predominantly. And there's more information here, but I'm not going to read that for you. Also, in the 1700s, the Blarney Castle was turned over and sold to the governor of Cork, and his name was Sir James Jeffreys, and that was in 1703. He added on to the castle. he added on a significant amount and turned it from a small little country house that was attached to the castle to a much more Gothic, grand residence. Let's see. And then in 1846, Louisa Jane Jeffreys married a neighbor, Sir George Colthurst of Ardrum, which is just west of Blarney, and the estate passed to the Colthurst family at that point in time. So that's just a little bit of history of the McCarthy family and the Colthurst family and how the castle has changed hands through the decades. Anyway, these are the photos that we're going to include today, along with this one that talks about the Blarney Stone and talks about the fact that the Blarney Stone sits directly above you. So this stone was roughly down here at the base of this castle, and when you look directly up, that opening right there that you see in the rampart right there, that's where the Blarney Stone is located. So very high up, many, many stories. It says the prize for kissing the stone has always been a great one, but in the past it was a dangerous challenge. Today, the introduction of solid iron bars for protection ensures that you need only flirt with eternity. So do you see how they're holding onto his ankles and lowering him over the side? You'll see when we get to the pictures of family members that actually did kiss the Blarney Stone. They don't do it this way anymore. But this is where you have to go in order to kiss the Blarney Stone. I did not make it up that far. Here you can see a little bit the people that are on the other side of that opening there. And the Blarney Stone is actually located on this outer portion of the wall. Well, on the inside of this outer portion of the rampart that goes around the top of the castle. So kind of cool, and we're gonna look at more of that as we get in the next couple of layouts. But these are the photos we're gonna do today, and I'm excited to do them with you. So let's go ahead and get some things cut. All right. So representing the peach paper is going to be this polka dot and the tone on tone on the back. And just to take a look here, I think it's important before you cut any papers to note where you want your photos to go. Okay, so I have these three that are going to go on this side, and they're all horizontal photos. Okay, so all of these oval pictures and signs, probably these will go on the other page. But these three are going to go on this side, and they're all horizontal. So how am I going to manage that with this vertical right here? That's a question. And I also am going to probably need to trim these just a little bit in order to accommodate the size of the mats that they're going to have me cut. So let's just check it out and see what size they've got me cutting. So they've got me cutting, oh, that's very interesting, 6x4 mats. So we're going to need to trim down the pictures. But I think if I were to do this myself, I would not cut these two apart, because that would be an additional mat I could use. So anyway, just some food for thought. Okay, so let's start with the polka dot paper. And we're going to cut this at 6 inches. So I've got my magic marker, plastic marker up here that's showing me where the edge of my 6 inches is. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that right down the middle. We'll set that aside. Then I'm going to turn this, and we're going to cut it into a 6x4. Okay, so there's one mat. Then we're going to cut another 4 inches off. Okay, and in cutting the 4 inches off, then we're going to turn this mat and we're going to cut it at 3. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, these are the pieces that are going to be flipped over so that we can use those as our journal box. Probably what we'll end up doing is something along that line. One of them flipped and one of them not flipped. This one is technically an extra, but I'm going to add it in because it's the same size as that one. And we might need it because I have extra photos. Again, this is a BIE layout, so if you don't want to mat all of your pictures, you certainly don't have to. We're going to talk about that. Okay, so this is another 6x4, just like the previous ones. We need another 6x4. So basically you're just cutting this into many 6x4 pieces. And then you are also going to cut these two right here, which are 3x2. So we're going to take this piece again and we're going to cut it into 2 3x4 pieces. All right, this one's extra. We'll set it aside. This one we're going to turn again and make it horizontal and do a cut at 2 inches so that we have 2 2x3 pieces. Okay, so that completes the peach page. Then we're going to take this plaid. I love this plaid. I just think it's so pretty. All right, so we're going to cut this at 3 inches. So we're going to measure that on the, I always use my grids to cut. So measuring that to make it straight on the grid line. So 3 inches. Then we're going to take this and we're going to cut it into we're going to cut it into 2-inch pieces. So I'm going to cut it in 4-inch pieces at first. We're going to do 4 and 4, and then that will give us 3 4-inch pieces. I'm going to stack all of those, and then I'm going to cut them at 2 inches. All right. So now I've got, those are all of my 2x3s. And then I need, according to this, one more 6.5 by 4.5. Let's figure out where the 6.5 by 4.5 mat is going to go, because I'm just not sure. Yeah, so the 6.5 by 4.5 mat is this vertical one right here, which I'm not going to have a vertical one because remember all my photos are horizontal. So I'm not going to cut this I'm not going to cut this at 6.5 by 4.5. I am going to cut this just as a normal 4 by 6, I believe. Okay, so let's go in here. Actually, let's take a look before I cut too much. So we've got these 3 that are going to be, actually, this piece of memorabilia is going to replace this piece right here. So we could mat that, or we could not mat it. Let's not mat it for right now. I'm not going to cut this piece just yet. Let's wait. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. In doing a beginner, intermediate, and experienced layout, let's talk about some of the different ways we can do this. Okay, so I'm just going to overlay that right there like that. So we can, I'm going to put both of these next to each other. These are my base pages. And how they have this laid out, you're going to have we're going to have a plaid here and a plaid here and a polka dot in between. And we can either put roses. I think roses are the ones, that's the back side of the plaid, so that's what we're going to end up with right there. I'm not sure I'm super keen on the roses, but that is the way it is. So we'll have a rose there, we'll have a rose down here. We'll have a plaid and a dot and a plaid. Okay, so that is the main border for our page. Now, let me utilize these mats and we'll discuss those real quick. So we've got a polka dot mat that will go up there. We've got a polka dot mat that'll go down here to balance each other out. We've got another mat that will go up here, and I'm just going to make that the same. Now they don't have a mat, they've used a mat card in that spot, and you can use a mat card in that spot if you want to, or you can do something else. Okay, so then we've got, that's just going to hold the place of that photo. Okay, and then these two are the journal box that are going to go over here. Now they have a 4x4 photo, you can see that goes up here, and a 6x4 photo that goes down here. So the same size as this mat. And those are not matted according to the instructions for the project recipe. So you can do your layout just like this, and it's lovely. This would be your beginner level, and it gives you some definition. There's nothing but straight cuts. It's very easy that way. You've got several photos matted, a couple that are not matted, which is okay. And it does look nice this way, okay? But if you wanted to bump this up just a little bit, you could go ahead and add another mat. You could mat this photo, you could mat this photo, and use the plaid paper to do that. And if you wanted to go an even further to a more advanced level or more experienced level, then you could take a border of some kind. Remember how I mentioned I had all these laser borders sitting out here? You can lay a border across the edge of that, the top of those cut pieces. And do you see how it dresses things up and adds interest to your page? We could use these laser pieces, and we could add these in behind here, and then we still have our journal box, and we've got some more interest here behind it. Or we could remove these papers altogether and just use the circles to journal in the center of that. It depends on how much journaling we want to do, right? But that would be a cute thing to add. Definitely on a more advanced level, We could cut this in half and use it as a backdrop for the laser borders. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm just gonna center this. That looks about right there. Okay, we'll just cut that right in half. And then we've got one for either side. And we can take these cute clovers and flower looking things and just put them right across the top of that and layer that on top. That would be interesting. Or we could take this big laser leaf and layer it with these, just to give our little edge even more of a flare. I actually kind of like that best rather than this added to it, because it pulls the darker greens out of this. So I like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get the borders all situated, and then we'll talk about the other things I'm going to do to change this layout up just a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive to adhere these because it's so easy. And I really like the leaf actually, because it provides some added consistency in the pattern. As you can see it all the way across, which is nice. I love the repositionable adhesive, as I was mentioning, because you can just run it across like that. You don't have to worry about it showing through the openings in your laser border. So that's always nice. Okay, so we've got that. I really like that. I think that's really, really cute. Okay, and then this one. Okay, and given that this laser border with the clovers and things on it, or I guess they're really just green flowers, but they remind me of clovers, so it works. Making sure that they are going the same direction. So we're going to put this side down as we put this on the layout. Actually, let me fix this just really quick because it sort of got a little bit crooked. There, that's better. Alright. And then this will go right across the top. And basically I'm taking the straight, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a straight line underneath the green flowers, and I'm putting that right across the seam on from our rectangles that we added to the page. Okay, so those are going to go there like so. All right, so let's do a little bit of, let's do some photo trimming, because remember these are 4x6 and I've got My photos are 4x6 that need mats, so I need to trim them up just a little bit. So I need to take off about 1/4 of an inch from both sides and make this 5 1/4 or 5 3/4, sorry. But you'll notice I'm not cutting off 1/4 of an inch over here. And that's because of the irregularity in the size of prints. So depending on where you got your photos printed, sometimes you'll find that they are not true to size. Now that one is, it's 4 inches top to bottom, but it's not 6 inches left to right. So you can correct that a little bit by adding, Maggie, what are you doing? You need to get off the table there, sweet cheeks. Sorry, she has just climbed up on the table that's opposite my workspace. Crazy. She is definitely showing her puppy side lately.
With her desire to destroy everything with her teeth.
Yes, with her desire to destroy. As Michael says, her desire to destroy. Alright, so I'm just trimming off 1/4 of an inch of each of these so that we have them, and so they're uniform. So they're 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and that way they will fit in the mats that we have with no issues. Okay, so this one can go in this mat, although I'm not sure we'll keep it in this mat, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I may have to, I am definitely going to need to overlap a few things here in order to fit everything I want to onto this page. Alright, so then also over here, I'm going to go ahead and trim this photo so that it will fit in this other mat. So that will be good to go. Alright, and we're going to remove these for just a moment while we figure out how the rest of this is going to come together. Okay, so I've got these other 3 things. I've got 2 photos of the castle, and I've got this bit of the brochure that I wanted to add. And so the brochure, I'm actually going to trim this a little bit so that it will just be more uniform and look nicer. So we're just going to trim it up here a bit. Not a ton because I don't want to cut any of the words off, and as I cut this apart with my scissors before, it just wasn't super even. So now you can see measures just about 4 inches. So we're going to, if we're going to mat this, which I think I would like to do, I need about at least 4 1/4 wide, and I need, looks like probably 9 inches long. So 4 1/4 by 9 is what I'm going to need for that. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to take this plaid paper that I have here. That's extra. And I'm not going to put that trimmer too far away because I think we're going to need it again, but I need this longer one here. So we're going to do 4 1/4. And 4 1/4 by, we said 9. So pulling the arm out, we're going to cut this at 9 inches, and let's just make sure that that's going to be sufficient, but I think it will be. That should be just right. And it's just going to give us just a little hint of color around the outside. It's not going to be a large mat, but it'll be just enough, I think, for what we need. Okay, so that's going to go with this one. And these two, I want to see the whole castle, so this one's going to be trimmed to 5 3/4 is what we've trimmed the other ones to. And then we'll trim this to 3 3/4, so it's the same size as the rest. Okay. And then this one's going to be our 4x4 picture. So this one is a little beyond 4 inches, not much, but just enough that it makes a little bit of a difference. And we're going to turn this and we're going to trim this at 4 inches. So there's our 4x4. Okay, and then we need, out of this last bit of paper, I need a mat for each of these, just so that we have some uniformity going on. All right, so we need one that's going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut it from this horizontal piece at 4 1/4. Yep. And then turn it, cut it again at 4 1/4. And there we go. There's that one. And then I need another one that's going to be 6 by 4. All right, so this will be for this one. Okay, let me get those adhered. Go in there. All right, so let's see how this is all going to come together here. Now that we've got everything mounted on our mats that we want, let's bring back in our sample so you can see kind of what the original idea was. I'm going to scoot this over just a smidge so that I can put that in up there. This is not as flat as my other project recipes typically are, so it's a little bit harder to fit everything on camera. That's okay. All right, so let's see. I'm going to move this down just a little, then I can scoot it there. So now you can still see that, and I can still see this. All right, good to go. Okay, so let's move these out of the way for a moment. Set them over there. I know that I need this piece right here, so that's kind of a given as far as I'm concerned. That's going to have to stay there. All right, then I need to try to arrange these in a way where I can see as much of the information as possible. And I'd like them to kind of stay in this order because it goes chronologically, and that speaks to my soul, right? Because I'm a chronological scrapbooker. So we're going to go like that, and we're going to go like, actually, we could tuck this one underneath, and we'll bring it in just somewhat so that it's, so unfortunately it has to cover that pretty border up there, but I'd rather do that than miss out on all of this good history. So we're going to keep it like that. Okay, so then this second page is going to, getting my nails done today, which is good because my nails are so long. They're way longer than I typically deal with. Okay, so we're going to put the Blarney Stone up here in this corner, and then this one would go next to it, the 4 by 4. So this one will kind of bring down like that. And then this guy, of course, is unusual because he's vertical instead of being horizontal like they've got here. So this is where we take a little artistic license and we do our own thing, which is okay to do now and then, I'm here to tell you. All right, so then we can add this in right here. We could add these in on top of it if we wanted and just make it more of an accent. Move this over a little bit. I kind of like that better, although writing on top of this, on top of these, is going to be a little bit of a challenge because it's going to be quite bumpy. But I really do like the way that that wreath kind of sits off to the side there. So let's see. I think I'm going to go with that actually, although I may raise this up so that I can move this up so we can see. Let's see what it would look like if we moved this over and that up. Or what we might do is just kind of put that at a little bit of an angle. I kind of like that too, because then it pulls everything in together. We've got our polka dots represented on both sides. We've got our plaids represented on both sides. I like it. The only thing that's not represented on both sides is this tone-on-tone paper right here, but we're going to be writing on that, so it's not going to be as noticeable. So I think I'm going to go with that. And I'll get this all adhered and take some pictures for you so you can see it on the finished page. But remember, this started out as a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. The beginner level being just adhering these 4 rectangles to the top and the bottom and matting a few photos, right? And then an intermediate level would be to mat all of the photos and maybe add an embellishment. And then a more advanced level would be to cover up that seam for the four rectangles, and even doubling that laser border, or you could use a punched border here if you wanted, or double it, layer 2 punched borders together. I think that would be nice too. And then just remember, you have the freedom to adjust these pages to what your photos dictate that you need. So if you need more room, or you need more horizontal photos like I did, or you need more vertical photos, change it. If you need permission, I give you permission. If you don't need permission, just change it. Change it to what you need, and it will make you happy. Thanks so much for joining me today. This does probably need maybe a couple of embellishments, but I'm not going to worry about too many embellishments because I think we've got a lot going on. We've got this up here that is a little bit of an embellishment. We've got it down here. So if I was to add an embellishment, I might add something right in here or something up in this corner, but I'm not going to add anything to this. I think it looks just fine just the way it is. So, do what you like. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.
Mm.